What does your favorite Epic the Musical song say about you according to a psychology graduate student? Part 19. Okay. I don't often do disclaimers on my channel. I figure if you're here and you've been following me for a while, you know what you're getting into. But for this one, it is a particularly intense, upsetting song to many different viewers, many different listeners. If you are not in a good place emotionally to discuss this song or to hear anything about it, I want you to be kind enough to yourself to kindly leave the video. Will not hurt my feelings. I want you to take care of yourself more than anything else in this world. We're gonna get into some really heavy topics in this video because we can't discuss the song without them. So take some time, look in on yourself, and if you are not in a good place to watch this video, go ahead and skip on to the next one. If you are, then go ahead and brace yourself because this is what Hold Them Down says about you. Starting with the safest of the camps, camp number 1, Aaron gonna pay his rent today, Alexander. This man stepped into the booth and said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna mess with some people. I'm gonna make them question some things about themselves by delivering a performance that was so captivating, so intriguing, so primal, and so ferocious that it broke brains. It made people, including myself, sit down and process and go, what does this say about me? I am morally conflicted, which is hilarious because if you know Mr. Alexander, if you're not following his channel, I don't know what you're doing with your life, you will see that he is so kind, so charismatic, so amazing. And it's such a beautiful representation of separating character from actor. So for him to be able to put that performance into this character and having that be the reason why it's your favorite song is completely normal, completely acceptable. It is okay. You're probably a person who really loves Disney villains. You like the villain song more than the hero song oftentimes because usually they're the better song. It's the minors, it's everything that's in there, the minor key, the signature, the feeling of dread that's coming. It is that amazing ability to craft together this song that makes you feel so dark, so powerful, and so in control of things, which is going to come in later. But for this camp specifically, you just love this song because of the amazing vocals, the amazing music that was created for this. Every single piece that came together to make a truly memorable, horrific song. And that's acceptable. That's okay. To be fair, every camp is going to be acceptable in some way, shape, or form, but that is the most common thing that I see. You love the song because it's a good song, because it's an incredible villain song that makes you stop and question yourself, because that is the mark of a great writer. We see that a lot with Jorge, with Calypso, with Intinuous, with these characters that are terrible, terrible characters, and yet he writes them in such a way that makes you go, uh-oh, I see a little bit of myself in them. I never thought I would say that, nor do I want to say that. And yet I feel a connection, and that leaves a lot of people really confused and really terrified. Listen here, baby. It's okay to like this song. It doesn't mean you're a monster. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means that you like a song that's well written, that's dark, that's gritty, especially in a world that tends to favor a lot of safe spaces. Nothing wrong with them, but our society tends to kind of like tiptoe around things because we don't want to be upsetting, because we've evolved that we don't want to upset other people. So when there's something where Jorge decided to go as dark as he went, it surprised us and it kept us watching, and it brought the gravitas of the situation, and it made you feel like you were in danger and yet oddly in control at the same time. So camp number 1, you just love it because it's a good song, and that's okay. And after leaving the safety of camp 1, we move into camp 2. People who have this as their favorite song have very likely experienced some form of the events that occur within in their real life. Maybe not to the grand scale of what was happening, but in some way, shape, or form, you have been made to feel the way that Penelope or Telemachus was meant to feel in the song. And if that is the case, if that has happened to you, I'm so sorry. From the bottom of my heart, I am so sorry that that was your experience. And that if this is your favorite song, it may have left you with a question of, if this happened to me, if I lived through this fear and this trauma, why would I love this song? You're not broken, baby. It is very common for people who have been the victims of violent crimes or violence in general to seek solace, to seek peace in watching or reading or consuming media that paints a picture of what happened to them, because it feels familiar. Even if it's not safe, even if it's horrible, even if it brings up terrible feelings, it's familiar. And that can make people feel seen, make them feel validated, to know that it does happen to other people. It's not an isolating event, and that's such a terrible thing to realize. And yet it can make people feel less alone, to know that it's not just them. They're not in isolation, and that it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to have those discussions and to say, this was a horrible thing that happened to me. This was a terrible thing in my life, but it's happened to other people, and I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not alone. Sweetheart, what happened to you was never your fault. It should not have happened, and it did. Someone was supposed to keep you safe, and they didn't, and I am so sorry. But there's nothing wrong with you for loving this song and for trying to process your emotions in the way that you need to. No one can dictate how you process but you. And if the way that you feel, that love, that validation, that understanding of yourself is to consume media where it happens because it feels familiar, no one has the right to make you feel bad about that, including you. It's okay. I highly recommend therapy. I highly recommend reaching out to people who have been through what you've been through, because the worst thing that me too, the worst thing that we can feel is alone when things like that have happened to us. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't your fault. And I'm so proud of you that you're still here. I'm gonna say something controversial, but stick with me. There's reason for my madness. In camp number 3, there are people who have this as their favorite song because they identify with Antinuous, but not for the reason you think. Trust me, stick with me. If it is for the reason you think, if that's why you identify with Antinuous, then this is a different conversation, and I highly recommend therapy for everybody. But the majority of what I've seen of people who identify with Antinuous in this song are people who are so tired of feeling angry, of feeling the seething rage that is building up inside of them because they don't feel like they have control in their lives. It's why when the TikTok ban was happening, people were using this sound. Maybe they knew what it meant, maybe they didn't, but it kind of got adopted as a revolution song because there's a lot of those vibes in it. Antinuous himself, while a terrible person, is a charismatic person. He's just using it for the wrong ends, for the wrong means. If you had taken him and put him in a different thing, putting him on a cause that was for good, that charisma, that ability to just rally people around him would work for the greater good. Unfortunately, he's exhibiting fatherless behavior, as we say. He is taking his talent, his natural born leader vibes, and doing evil with them. But there's a lot of people that are attracted to not feeling like you're a victim anymore. In my experience, when people go through traumatic events, they either become victims or they say, I will never be a victim again. I will become the most dangerous person in the room, and you should be afraid of me. Does that sound familiar? It is the feeling of, I'm so out of control with everything in my life that I will take back that control no matter what. Because when you didn't have control, bad things happened. It's okay. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be angry, especially with current political climates being what they are. It's okay. And it's okay to take that passion and that drive and do something constructive with it. To take what you have, what you're so good at, and make something better. You are in control. You can do it, and I'm so proud of you, and I can't wait to see what lives you change. Thank you for staying with me. Stay classy, my darlings. I'll see you in the next part.